Aiboan, Vanakkam. I'm Vioni Dimel. This is Boston Lanka News, bringing you news, views, and entertainment from Boston and USA. Victim of modern-day slavery, Sri Lankan activist in USA shares her views on Ariyawathie, woman who was tortured in Saudi Arabia. Volunteer tourism ambassadors of USA. Sri Lanka is beautiful and the people are so warm and friendly. Mrs. Ariyawathie, a mother of three, flew into Saudi Arabia in March to become a housemaid looking for a better future. Last week, she flew back to Sri Lanka and was admitted to hospital with 24 nails and 1 needle in her legs and hands, a victim of modern-day slavery in Saudi Arabia. Boston Lanka tried several times last week without any success to reach an official at the Royal Embassy of Saudi Arabia in Washington, D.C. to get their response about the actions the Saudi government will take against this abusive employer. In our last attempt, we were successful in reaching the Saudi Embassy press officer, but the response was not one we expected. We will let you hear what happened.
You have reached the Royal Embassy of Saudi Arabia in Washington, D.C. For Arabic, press 1. For English, press 2. Please hold. You have reached the Royal Embassy of Saudi Arabia in Washington, D.C. If you know the extension of the party you are trying to reach, you may dial it at any time. For the consulate section, press 1. For the Islamic section, press 2. For the Public Affairs Office, press 3. For the Medical Office, press 4. For the Commercial Office, press 5. For the Saudi Press Office, press 6. For the Saudi Citizen Office, press 7. To listen to the menu again, press 8. Please hold. Yes.
Hi, I'm Vioni Dimel calling from Boston Lanka. We are doing a story about the Sri Lankan woman who was tortured in Saudi Arabia. I have a few questions to ask.
Okay.
Is there any official that I can speak to?
You can comment to me, sir.
I just want you to know that I'm going to record this conversation.
Thank you so much, sir.
We now join with Beatrice Fernando, founder of the Nivasa Foundation, a non-profit organization in USA. Beatrice, a survivor of unbearable abuse in Lebanon, founded the organization to help many victims like herself who were enslaved in human trafficking schemes overseas and survived, returning to their impoverished homes in Sri Lanka. The whole world now knows about 49-year-old L.T. Ariyawathie, who was tortured in Saudi Arabia when she was working as a housemaid. Beatrice, you are a survivor of this kind of abuse and also now an activist in USA who is working tirelessly to end the acts of modern-day slavery. What was your initial response when you first heard about this woman?
Well, when I heard the story about Ariyawathie, my initial response was how one human could do such a cruel act to another human being. Humans are the most intelligent, smart, powerful species in the world, and we use that gift to hurt our own. We are turning into robots. We have no compassion, and not many of us care about what's happening in our own backyard, let alone next door to us or around the world. In the case of Ariyawathie's story, you can see how the world has begun to judge her, doubt her, label her, and making her the villain. My response today is not for just Ariyawathie's story, but to all the women, children, and men who are being raped, overworked, starved, beaten, underpaid, locked up, and even killed by their so-called employers. We have heard many stories in the past. Some may never live to tell their stories. The way I see it doesn't matter whose story it is, where, why, and when it happened. What matters is that this crime of humanity is spreading throughout the world without boundaries, limits, and borders, spreading like a virus, destroying all men. As human beings, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to close our eyes and ears and minds, our own business, and make someone else responsible while we sit in our comfortable bed and go on living as nothing is wrong? I'd like to know the answer to that.
Now, this was not the first horror story we heard about the inhuman treatment some women from Sri Lanka had undergone in the Middle East. And yet, there are so many women willing to go to Middle East to work as housemaids. Why is that?
This is a good question, and I can talk about it for like several hours. But in short, I have several answers for that. One is, how did you and I end up in USA? Isn't it because we were looking for a better life, better living conditions, and trying to provide for a better life for our children? These are the same reasons why any person will look for foreign employment. As humans, we all have our dreams, needs, and necessities that we try to fulfill, right? It could be as simple as building a home, to find quick money to get married, or even just a dream to experience the life outside their own motherland. This is the most common reasons why women and men, children willingly seek foreign employment and fall victim to slavery. The biggest problem is though, most of our Sri Lankan women and men are not aware of their human rights. So when they are abused physically or any other way, they just take it without question because they tend to believe it is somehow their own fault. They try to be better. Those who manage to survive the abuse and return to Sri Lanka tend to believe it is their fate or luck. So they take chances, wishing it will be this next time around. And within a few months leave again to another country to a million. 99% of them want to go back. And if you ask them why, because their reason for leaving in the first place was not fulfilled, because they were abused and they returned home penniless. Their problem still remains to be the same. So they have no other way than going back. So this is why they go.
As Sri Lankans living in USA, what can we do not only to show our anger and protest against this kind of inhuman treatment, but also to be part of a solution so that women in Sri Lanka do not have to become victims of modern day slavery?
I think we are the fortunate ones who ended up here and living in this land of freedom. Don't you think? We hold the power, the knowledge, and the opportunity to help our brothers and sisters. We need to use our freedom to find freedom to everyone, not just for Sri Lankan, but all men. You and I are the best. So if we are to change the world, you and I need to make the change to behind. We need to take the first step. Give voice for those who have none, take a pen, make a statement. We need to join hands to save this nation and save our children and women and make this world a better place for our children and their. You can join an organization, write to the congressman, write a petition against this kind of crime, and demand protection for our women who go overseas for employment. We can also organize workshops in our communities to educate them about their rights, and most of all, we can reach out to these surviving victims because they are afraid, they are ashamed, they are hiding. They don't want to share their story because people look down on them and they can never live a normal life ever again. So this is where we can come in, reach out, tell them, correct their wounds and accept them and say it's okay, it's not your fault. And give them that strength and courage and compassion and teach them and also eliminate their need to seek foreign employment by giving them support. And USA Foundation is such an organization that seeks to break this cycle of enslavement of Sri Lankan families by providing financial support to the children of enslaved victims. Because most of these parents, women, seek these employments to support their children. So we take that burden off their hands. They have no reason for them to leave.
Thank you, Beatrice. In a letter sent last week to Justice Minister Sheikh Dr. Mohammed bin Abdul Aziz Al Isa, Amnesty International urged the Saudi authorities to investigate the allegations of abuse made by Ariyawathie and to ensure that those responsible are brought to justice in accordance with international fair trial standards and without recourse to corporal punishment, and that she receives reparation for her injuries. 2010 inaugural ambassador's signature tour of Sri Lanka, initiated by Ambassador Jalia Wickramasuriya, was concluded last week. During the 20-day tour, 25 American professionals and business people had visited beachside resorts, wild animal parks, high country tea plantations, and historical heritage sites in Sri Lanka. The American travelers would return to the US with a new understanding of Sri Lanka, according to Ambassador Wickramasuriya, and he added, they will be like tourism ambassadors volunteering for Sri Lanka. According to one participant of the tour, Mrs. Belinda Chandra, it has been the most remarkable experience of my life. The country is beautiful and the people are so warm and friendly. Ambassador Wickramasuriya noted that the trip was the first in a series of signature tours established by the embassy. Anybody who is talking negatively about Sri Lanka is invited to come to Sri Lanka, he said. As soon as they come here and travel all around the country, it's a different story. That concludes our news edition. We meet you next week with another news edition of News, Views and Entertainment from Boston and USA. Till then, goodbye.